And I wore a nice shirt tonight, so you guys, we have started a ginormous lighting project at my church, and I've been kind of the lead product manager. We're relamping the entire sanctuary with new LED fixtures.
The old sanctuary?
Well, in the new church.
Right.
Original
Okay.
sanctuary in the church, yeah. So it'll be the third set of lights we've had in the history of the building. And the current ones are 26 years old, and each fixture is 2,000 watts times 14 fixtures. That's a lot of electric. And the dimming system croaked, and we couldn't get parts, so we decided let's bite the bullet and update. And we're still not meeting in person either.
Well, that's supposed to change soon. Although I should, Heather and Eric, I did get a little clarity today. So even though this is all going to change on June 2nd, council isn't ready to meet in person yet. The mayor's not willing to do that quite yet. So it's probably going to stay virtual meetings at least through July.
Yeah.
So just so you're all aware, potentially into August. And then even when we do meet in person, it's unclear as to where that is going to happen. It might be over at the police community room.
Yeah, bigger room.
Yeah, but they have to then get the audio and stuff. So Amy and I were highlighting that Gary had made a kind of it was a challenge, I think, the one time we talked about maybe trying to do it over here at CD, remember? And there was that whole recording thing. So anyway, they're going to have to sort that out, but we will not be meeting in person for at least another 2-3 months, if then.
We're considering not opening church till September, so we're being very cautious also. I found this interesting, another one that they've already done it. And now they're coming to us for permission.
Well, apparently Heather said when she put up the sign, it hadn't been done before, but then when she put up the sign, it was. So,
Yep.
But I will point out that the board continues to approve them.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we should not approve these.
Even when staff pointed out that by consolidating the parcels, there would have been no need for the variance. The board voted for both those cases.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just saying, I know.
After we get the new zoning code update adopted, we are going to have a reminder of what our responsibilities are with regards to the variances, because I think that some of the newer members might need to have a better understanding of that.
Yeah, and there's been a few times I do think we've been a little too generous. I drive by one across the street from Central School that should have never gone. The church one.
Well,
in hindsight, I regret that one. I mean, it's a nice building and it's pretty, but it's awfully big. Did you relight your room, Jonah? You seem it's brighter tonight.
Oh, I have my sconce on tonight.
Oh. See, I'm sitting in my basement office, but I do turn on a couple extra fluorescent lights so I get good lighting on my face, whatever that's worth.
I don't usually turn my camera on anymore.
Well, I was going to wear a t-shirt to church today because we started a construction project up there, but I figured we wear something collared and look professional this evening. I did that for Eric.
I'm sorry to let you down on that front too. I just got done mowing the yard.
Yeah, I just walked the dog, so I'm with you, Jonathan.
That's next on the list. Yeah,
that's a good plan. Well, I wasn't sure how long I was going to be at church today because this is the first day with the contractor to kind of scope the project out. We are all here except for Mr. McDaniel.
Well, actually, and Mr. Mail's not here yet either.
Mr. Mail.
Mr. Mail and the applicant, so.
Yeah, we're missing two. Okay. Yeah, I drove by there today and it's been installed. And the sign was sitting in the side yard where you really couldn't see it. which I thought was interesting. I'll bring that up in our official discussion later.
Heather, was it put in the side yard or was it in the front?
It's leaning
No, I put
against
it in
the
the front
house.
yard.
So
Yeah.
it was moved.
It was
Yeah,
moved.
I
It's
probably had to mow the
leaning-
grass or something.
It's leaning against the house, down pretty far back off the street side.
Yeah, and that gravel looks pretty new that he put in, so.
It looks very new. In fact, I'm not sure it was there 2 days ago.
I was there last week and I posted it, but who knows how long that was there before that.
Safe to say less than a few weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Eric, we do not have the applicant, so the case can go forward, but the applicant wouldn't be able to present. So it would be simply what we have in the materials distributed to the BZA, correct?
As well as any public comments that we received.
Exactly. Also, there is only 3 members currently since Mr. Mail has not joined us, so the vote would need to be unanimous. And in addition to that, the applicant would have the opportunity, if he was present, to ask for a continuance because there's only 3, but he's not here, so we can still proceed, correct?
Correct.
okay.
And we can't do a continuance without them.
Got it.
Should we wait for,
Could, but we don't have any legal obligation.
has anybody heard from Mr. Mail?
He did not accept my invite for the Zoom as of 5 minutes ago, so let me double check on my,
I'm calling them right now.
okay, thanks, Eric.
Yeah, I have to be careful when I accept those in my calendar because I had a scout meeting last week that I lost the link to and had to miss it because I couldn't log in. The computer ate it.
Usually it goes right to the calendar.
Well, I'm realizing now there's a place I have to click to get it to go right to the calendar. Now that I realize that, this won't happen again. But if all else fails, blame the computer. Isn't that how that usually works, Jonna?
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's always the computer's fault.
Yeah. So glad that's not my job anymore.
Oh, you don't do computers anymore?
No, with the pandemic and a big buyout at Kent State, we lost 25% of my division, 20%,
Oh,
25%.
man.
Yeah, so we all got shuffled around. So yeah, I'm running the learning management systems and all the various and sundry bits and pieces that plug into that.
Well, that's kind of neat. And see, I got rearranged out of the school district. So
Yeah.
you're
Do you like
lucky to
it?
still be there.
Do you like it, Jonah?
I'm having the best time I've had at work in like 10 years. Like I have
Good.
not had this much fun since I started at Kent. So
Oh,
yeah,
that
it's
is-
instead of 75 people, I've got a team of like 5 and 2 grad students, and we're just having an absolute blast.
That is
That's
super.
great.
How long have you been at Kent?
12 years last month.
Wow. You're getting up there.
So just as an update, Mr. Mayo and the applicant did not accept the Zoom invites. It is 7:05. I would probably suggest we start the meeting. Mr. Fink, were you able to get a hold of Mr. Mayo?
Yeah, he's on his way.
Okay, we'll give it another minute then. But still no sign of the applicant.
A quick procedural question, Mr. Fink. We still need to read all the intro stuff because it's only the bit, because there's no public here, but if the public shows up, or does that still need to be in the record?
Still a public meeting.
Still needs to be in the record. Okay, well, I've got my script here.
Did Dave have the link, Eric? Because I don't see any sign of him. Oh, here he goes. I got it.
Excellent.
He's joining now.
Good evening, Mr. Mayo.
He's still connecting.
Okay, pull up the ladder. I'm on board.
Okay.
Okay, we are ready. Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order even though we do not have the applicant present. according to legal advice, we can proceed and decide on this with the material that was provided by the city
Okay,
and any visuals that we have made from visitations. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. The May 17th Board of Zoning Appeals Public Hearing and Business Meeting will come to order now. Roll call, please.
Dave Mail,
Donna Burton.
Deborah Douglas.
Paul Selman.
who would
Okay,
need anybody more?
that's true. Hey. Okay, variance requests will be considered in the order that they appear on the agenda. Each variance applicant or their representative will first explain the request to the board and will respond to the board questions. The board will then hear statements from persons supporting the variance, followed by statements from those opposing the variance. All persons making statements will do so under oath and shall state their name and address for the record. Their testimony shall be directed to the board and not to the audience. If a member of the audience wishes to ask a question of one of the speakers, he or she shall first be recognized by the chair of the board and direct the question to the chair. The chair will then direct the question to the appropriate witness. This will allow the meeting to be conducted in an orderly manner. If written statements have been provided to the board, they will be included in the record of this meeting. At the chair's discretion, they may be read into the record during the meeting. After all testimony has been taken, the board will discuss and review the request. Generally, the Board of Zoning Appeals will decide to approve or deny each requested variance at the meeting that it hears the testimony. Some decisions may be continued for further review.
In every instance where the board grants or recommends a variance, there must be a finding by the board that the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. 2, that there are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other properties within the same zoning district. And 3, that the granting of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to the public interest or to adjacent property or improvements in such district in which the variance is sought and should not materially impair the purpose of the zoning ordinance.
The Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the provisions of the Kent Zoning Code, or Kent City Zoning Code, which provides for the establishment of the board. Members of the board, Kent citizens serving without pay, visit sites and hear evidence, both pro and con, at public meetings before and carefully, conscientiously rendering a decision. After a decision is made, the case is closed for the board as there is no provision in the code for the board to reopen a case. If the petitioner disagrees with the findings of the board, there are only 2 proper procedures. One is to resubmit a revision of the request that is more compatible with the code, and the second is to institute legal procedures within the common pleas court. Okay, do we have anybody that needs have oath administered?
If there is anyone that is going to be testifying from the public, to please raise your right hand. Seeing none, we'll dispense with the oath.
Okay, I'm going to open up new business. Case BZ 21-010, Jeffrey McDaniel, residing at 732 Loncoy Avenue, is requesting a variance to sections 1161.27C, 1161.27E, and 1161.27A to install a bump out in his driveway. At this point, since we do not have Mr. McDaniel here, I guess we will move on to public comment. Is there anybody out there who want to speak in favor of this variance?
Oh,
You don't count, Mr. Mail.
oh,
Hearing none, is there anyone out there who wishes to speak against this variance? Hearing none, public comment is closed. We shall begin board discussion. feel free
Well,
to admonish or,
the board discussion is easy. If you wanted to know what it looks like, it's sitting there. When I went over there yesterday, he has gravelled in his bump out, so it's gravelled in, which is a hell of a lot better than the fact that people concrete them in sometimes, and if we didn't like it, we'd have to jackhammer them out. However, in that neighborhood, I don't see that it makes an unsightly addition. I mean, it's kind of a strange neighborhood anyway. It is exactly as he described it, and it does give him parking in front of his house, which with a very narrow driveway and a single car garage behind him, does somewhat restrict the number of cars he could have usefully. Presumably there are 2 people in there with cars that drive, so that makes a useful thing for him. I don't feel that it detracts from the neighborhood. If we go through our criteria, what are the extenuating circumstances? He doesn't have a very big lot. So what does he do with 2 cars if he has 2 cars? And I think he came up with a reasonable solution, which, as I say, is also in gravel, not concrete. So that's better too. That's my comment.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Any others? I'm highlighting something here. Okay. Mr. Burton or Debbie, I don't know your last name yet.
Whose?
My
Debbie's?
last name? Oh, it's Douglas.
Douglas, okay. Any comments from either of you two?
Go ahead,
Turning our-
Debbie.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think that he extended on the other side because his property ends right there.
Bridget,
So,
we have no
maybe
comment
towards-
from any
because-
property owners, right?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you.
If he was here today, my question would have been from the second picture that we got, the one that shows the actual lot lines. He could have potentially put it in the back because it does seem like the driveway runs all the way to the back there. But that was gonna be my only question, but
Yeah, I'm tending to agree. Jonna, comments?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, kind of like, I hear what Dave is saying about it's a relatively small lot and there aren't a whole lot of options, but they took a relatively small lot and they covered like a third of the front yard with gravel.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's good.
But oddly enough, not all the way over to his front door. That's a weird house, and the front door is on totally the other side of the driveway.
Right. So I guess that kind of raises 2 points. Is like, one, is it that useful if it's not even right by the front door? And 2, I mean, that driveway is like almost 100 feet long. I mean, there's plenty of room to get 4 or 5 cars there without even using the garage. So
Linearly.
Yes, which is, again, how the vast majority of people in homes more than 50 years old in Kent do it. So,
Well, and I was looking at some of the other houses on the street and they're parking linearly in the driveway.
Yeah.
And I will speak of myself, and even though I have a 24-foot driveway because I have a double car garage, I have had as many as 6 cars in our driveway, which means 2 in the garage and 4 in the driveway. And we live with it and move them. I'm going to be a stinker and bring this up. This is another case where they've already done it and not told anyone. And they even put the sign where you couldn't see it alongside the house. Now, I don't know if that was intentional or he mowed the grass and didn't put it back, or he moved it, put the gravel in and didn't put it back. So
he
tough
knew there was
decision.
going to be a meeting to discuss this very thing and couldn't wait the extra, what, 10, 12 days?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
that's kind of a slap in the face.
oh, I think it's a big slap in the face. And, you know, maybe it's time to put the hammer down a little bit and protect the code. I'm kind of leaning towards denial and protecting the code. It's written for a reason. And I know there's some extenuating situations with the lot, but the fact that the garage is clear in the back, and he could have done this in the backyard, which would have been far less intrusive to the neighborhood. And it is sort of a random neighborhood. I
And
mean, there's some
he-
things.
He kind of alluded to that in his, what I have of his application is a single sentence that's scratched out that says, diagram B is my first choice, but if that is an issue, I can agree to diagram A as well, which I assume was a bump out in the back, but I don't know because I don't have but one crayon drawing to go from.
I can help with that if you want.
That would be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you, Heather.
Helpful, Heather.
When he first gave me the application, it was a drawing that showed the current bump out that he has, or something with just a turnaround in the front where it was just a T or so off of the driveway. So it wasn't a bump out, it was more like a backup turnaround kind of thing. And I told him, try again. We need something more concrete and more information. And then we got this, what you got before you now.
Yeah, see, I think
That's
a T
helpful,
would have
thank you.
been, would have served what he's trying to do with less intrusion onto the neighborhood. And again, maybe it's time that we just draw a line somewhere. I mean, I leave it up to you folks to make the decision.
Oh,
I guess the other comment I would have is we've had a rash of bump outs lately, to be sure. But I think in virtually all of those cases, we could at least point to one, occasionally two of our criteria and see where there was some kind of not 100% normal situation. And this doesn't feel like that as much.
No, and I do think the fact that people just do it. I mean, I got a ticket once for parking a car on the grass in my front yard, which is a sensitive issue in the city of Kent. So it's 25 years ago, Eric, but it's still happened. It's a sensitive issue with Kent, is keeping the front yards as grass and
I got one too.
or weeds. Pardon?
I got one too before I realized it was a violation. I paid mine.
Me too. That's how I ended up getting on the board the first time.
And as a reminder, a variance means you're approving an illegal action that
Yeah.
goes contrary to the zoning code. So you should be very judicious in your consideration and application of when and how you grant variances as a board.
I agree totally. So I will await any motions.
yeah, I would be a lot more sympathetic if he hadn't done it already,
Yeah, me too.
you know, and say, okay, that looks like a good place to do it. Because what he did was logical. And he wants to park closer to his front door with some house to bring groceries in. That's the right way to do it. I did not walk through his property and see where his back door was in relation to where he could have a bump out or something. But yeah,
Right, so from the drawing, it looks like he doesn't have a back door, but he has a side door, which the driveway currently connects.
Yeah, see, so he's
Still.
already got easy car exit. And as Shauna pointed out,
Right.
the driveway would easily hold 4 cars. Now I realize I'd have to do some jockeying to move cars, but we all do that occasionally. So I'm going to ask again, anybody want to make a motion?
I will be happy to make a motion, Paul.
make a motion.
In
Thank you.
case BZ 21-010, the applicant Jeffrey McDaniel, owner of the property at 732 Lonquoy Avenue, I move to deny the applicant's request for a variance to sections 1161.27C, 1161.27E, and 1161.27A, where the applicant is requesting to install a bump out in the driveway.
Is there a second, please?
I can
Okay, Debbie seconds.
second.
Okay, let's vote.
Yes.
Debbie? Vote.
Yes.
David?
Yes,
Me? Yes. Okay, the variance is denied, so that case is closed. Next item on our agenda are the
now he
meetings.
can bring that back, right? I mean, he can reapply for it, even though there's no provision to revisit it, he could reapply for it.
He'd have to reapply with a different plan.
Right.
Yeah,
He-
that's
Tone
true.
that down some and come back, right, Bridget?
Right.
That's what
Come
Heather
back
would
with the same configuration now. On the minutes, I did have some edits that I made to the first version that went out. I believe Kim did send the second version. Basically, it was just clarifying with some more specificity, some of the wording in BZ 21006 with regards to some wording. I can read those spots if you want. And then there was some clarification in the two additional cases. I do believe Kim sent them out though, so you should have gotten them. But if somebody wants me to point to them specifically, I have them marked here. I can tell them to you.
I'm okay when I went through them. Everybody else?
Yeah, I didn't see any problem with them, but Bridget is certainly smarter than I,
I don't know about that. I just was.
and that's not hard. And the cat agrees,
Yeah, I see you're extra member. We have an auxiliary member tonight on the board.
Is that
right?
your supervisor?
If he's like most cats, he's the boss of the house.
Huh, supervisor.
That's right.
He's our alternate.
She's not sitting on the keyboard, so she gets a pass.
Do we have a motion for the minutes?
I move to approve the City of Kent Board of Zoning Appeals public hearing and business meeting, April 19th, 2021 minutes as written.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 I
Motion passes. Mr. Fink, any other business for us to consider? Or
No.
Bridget?
Nope.
I like that, short and sweet.
Bridget, you know if we have anything for next month yet?
Heather can answer that. I'm not sure.
Yes, we
Oh,
have
yes,
quite
we
a
do.
few
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
we
for next
do.
month.
Yeah.
We have 5 or 6, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Ooh,
The new city admin building actually needs several variances, so that's definitely, I remember that one now. So
Well, I know my former employer is coming before the planning commission. There'll be variances before that's all done too, I'm sure.
I don't know if they need variances or not.
They don't know, they don't know yet. All right, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting. The
Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye,
I
thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Enjoy. We'll see you next, we'll
Okay.
see you
Sorry,
next
Eric, I
month.
was